Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Chris Hearn, good to see you again. Thank you very much. And Katie, you're back.
I am. I was planning on being back yesterday, but ended up needing to go get my vaccine. So I am officially back today.
All right. Well, we several people wanted to know what happened to Katie. Well, you took some time off, and your fan club wanted to know where you were. So
I was just seeing family. I'm not gone forever.
Chris, are you in Jeez. PPP post-exhaustion period? What's, from a lending standpoint, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's okay, Bob. We always stutter the PPP and all that. We're in a little bit of a cleanup mode right now, just kind of wrapping things up. Obviously SBA had a big notice out last week that lenders had to notify borrowers if they were still in the not approved or further research stage, and they're not a CFI, which we're obviously not. So we had that email go out last night, and we're just kind of cleaning stuff up, and we'll probably still fund a few hundred loans today, but it's we're definitely at the waning stages of PPP as far as we're concerned, at least on the origination side. Forgiveness obviously will be the next big thing to go to.
Yeah. Did you you don't have to answer this, but I'm asking, did you clear those off yourself, or did the SBA just wipe them off your books?
No, we cleared them. We cleared them ourselves, even though SBA said they would. We've been working on it for weeks, so yeah.
Negative reaction from some of your borrowers, or you're able to handle that fallout?
No, we've been okay so far. I mean, I still think there's probably things are lining up for some backlash here in the next couple of weeks, if because unfortunately SBA is insistent that CFIs fund all these borrowers that are still left in queue, and I just no offense to CFIs, but I just don't know that they're going to be capable to handle the.
Katie, how much money is left? How much money is left over for the CDFIs?
The SBA has not updated their data since the 10th, so it's kind of old data. I'm kind of looking, usually they get it Monday, Tuesday, so we'll probably get that information tomorrow.
Chris, I saw a chart. I should have printed it out. You were definitely top 10. Congratulations. You funded 68,000 PPP loans for over $1.5 billion with a B, saving an estimated 225,000 jobs. Congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you. I think that's a little bit old data, though, Bob. It's actually over $4 billion and about 260,000.
Oh, I have
no. But nevertheless, thank you for the congratulations.
Well, 400. Okay, I'm sorry. No, you've done the work. I'll go through the numbers. 261,000 PPP. How did I end up with this, that's Joseph? Right. 261,000 loans. Blame Joseph. Throw Joseph under the bus. 4.2 billion with a B and 400,000 jobs. So,
yeah.
No, and I love Joseph. No more nice to Joseph. All right, let's go to the poll questions, and I get out of my po mode. If 50,000 rushes closed per year, this sounds like an algebra test. How many closed in 2020?
Yeah, with the train moving 60 miles an hour.
That's right. In what time zone?
Yep.
Katie, how'd they do?
Fairly good. There's a few people who are a little overestimating here. It was around 90,000 in 2020.
Good. So it wasn't as bad as people predicted. Obviously, 90,000 of closures is still very, very significant, and I don't mean to minimize that, but these stats came from the National Restaurant Association, and guess what, Chris? They credited PPP a lot for saving a lot of their businesses. Vicky just said, thank you, Vicky. There is $5 billion left for the CDFIs. And Raymond says as of May 17th, there's approximately $5 billion, so we verified that for CFI. So there you go, Chris.
There you go.
Comparing
I still think
2020,
that's a lot to handle between now and the end of the month, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
yeah, and we're not even going to speculate if they don't use that. If it, well, no, the program expires end of June, correct? So
Technically, but origination approvals are
I have no idea. I have no
31st
idea what's
of this
going to
month.
happen if there's money left over. If it goes back to the lend, I have no idea what happens. So we will follow that.
I don't know.
Number two.
Nobody knows.
Comparing comparing the month before the pandemic to, and that should be April 2021. Restaurant sales are down, up. What do you think? And these stats are for April 2021. Katie, what do you got?
So I don't know which data you want to go off of, but I did read something yesterday saying that we're now about 2% above pre-pandemic levels. So we're actually up now, and that's definitely a good sign. And I think probably PPP definitely helped with that. Also things, just keeping these businesses open so they can have sales in the first place is really what kept this going. So they are making what appears to be a full recovery right now.
49% said down up to 10%, 19% said down 0 to 5, which is the correct answer. Remain the same 12, up 0.59%, and up 5 to 10% is 12%. So the numbers are all over the board. And Katie, we continue to see those, expect those to continue to rise. So that's
We do. Yeah.
We're going to follow that. We're going to follow that closely. We're going to follow it all niches. A subject near and dear to Chris's heart. How do you charge off a PPP loan off your books? Do you prepare a purchase demand kit? Do you send a change status through E-Tran? Do you prepare the mini PPP purchase demand kit, or do you send a transmittal notice to Treasury? And this is a trick question. We don't know, do we, Chris?
No, we don't. I was waiting for you to say that.
Those are all good answers.
We assume it's
guesses,
no.
but we don't.
Yeah, I particularly like prepare purchase demand kit. I think that's probably what'll happen. Obviously, send a change status through E-Tran will probably also be the lender's responsibility. I'd love to see number 3, prepare a mini PPP purchase demand kit.
Yeah, we don't need to do a full purchase demand kit, right?
Yeah. So we'll see. To be determined.
Yeah, those are sort of my wish list of what I'd like to see happen. But we don't know yet, so hopefully we'll do that. And again, we're waiting for a 504 refinance. We want to see that. Katie has a bunch of stats. Let's go to the stats. Katie, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so this is the May Office of Advocacy data that it looks like they've gotten most of their data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but they've got a few others as well. And this particular one is looking at openings and closures of small businesses over a period of time. And obviously, looking at this, 2020 did have a huge number of closures. But what's nice is we are seeing what appears to be around the fourth quarter 2020 openings actually surpassed closures. And that's still continuing to this day. There's several reasons for that. Some of it is there's just so much support for small businesses right now. I'm also hearing a lot of people just needed a little bit extra money to start their business, and those stimulus checks helped start a lot of businesses, surprisingly, even though it's just a small amount of money. So you are seeing a lot more openings right now, and it'll probably flatten out a little bit, but currently it is in a very upward motion right now.
Well, I would have gotten that wrong, Chris. The closures I would have gotten right, but I was unaware of that many new businesses are opening. What do you see on the street?
Well, I think there's just so much stimulus money that's been pumped out there in the last 60, 90 days. And I think that's what you're starting to see. You cited, restaurant statistics earlier, but even, I just saw retail sales statistics a couple of days ago, and it's back to pre-pandemic levels, which I think surprises most folks. And I think it's directly responsible to all the stimulus money that's out there. So we'll see. I don't think that the supply is keeping up with demand, though, clearly, because we've had so many supply disruptions. So we'll, it's still we got a bumpy few months ahead of us, but it's good to see some of these measures back to pre-pandemic levels for sure.
Absolutely. And after Katie talked about this chart and driving around, that makes sense because there are all the businesses that went out of business, and now you see new businesses opening up in there, new restaurant concepts, major renovations in restaurants, and new nail salons, barbershops, etc. Small business loan and supply and demand.
Yeah, so this chart, from what I can tell, is looking primarily at probably 7A, maybe 504 as well, but it's clearly not reflecting so much the PPP, as you're seeing there's a lot more tightening between banks and the small business loans, which is suppressing demand a little bit, but you are going to see that, of course, as PPP is finishing up here. You are going to see stronger demand for regular 7A and 504 loans, and that is going back to what would be more normal numbers.
Yeah, and based on this chart, I'd love to see it. Banks are starting to loosen up a little bit. They're more optimistic about what's happening in the economy, and there's more of an appetite at Main Street for lending, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're still. I don't think banks have loosened up just yet, but I suspect as we come into the third quarter and we see some better statistics on GDP and the percent vaccinated and things like that, assuming we don't have a setback, I think the third quarter you're going to really see these two lines cross.
We love to. In fact, we're going to get PayNet back on here. We love talking to Bill Phelan. I think he's overdue. Bill, if you're or one of your staff are there, we're going to reach out to you. This is the PayNet index, and what they are known for is they track defaults, and obviously the huge spike downward was because of deferments, because of stimulus. Those have spiked up, but what's positive on this, Chris, is but they're leveling off. They're leveling off in that,
Right.
So
right.
It's not as bad as it looks, and the default rate is going up a little bit. I'm sorry, and the lending index is still strong. So, and those are all positive numbers. And this is data as of what this month, Katie?
Yeah, this is data from May, so it's fairly new, and we're definitely seeing. We've been kind of following PayNet for a while, and this is no surprise to us. I think we've even reported on it in the show. So it's really that default rate smoothing out there toward the end is definitely a good sign. And you're obviously still seeing lending activity still being up. You know, you had that little bit of a spike down with PPP and everything, but now we're back to what appears to be a fairly normal level.
Yeah, well, but it's going to be high because all the deferments, all the payments have stopped. And that's why servicing liquidation is so key for all the lenders out there. Yesterday, Katie, you did an article on EIDL fraud. Yes, we did confirm that nonprofits can get EIDL disaster loans. Real quick, that's a huge number, Katie, 846,000.
So there was a big concern with EIDL, just like PPP. A lot of people were concerned about fraud, and the SBA has referred 846,000 potentially fraudulent EIDL applications to the OIG, many of which were linked to identity theft complaints. And what the OIG report was saying was that early on, the SBA did not have a way of connecting which loans were connected to a identity theft complaint. Sometimes you had people complaining multiple times and they didn't have a way of tracking that. Back in February, the SBA did fix a lot of those issues, and they are now aware of the actual percentage related to identity theft, which is less than 1%. If you look at the bottom bullet there, it's 0.7%. That doesn't mean that it's 0.7% of those loans are fraudulent. That means 0.7 were related to identity theft. So there might still be other types of fraud. but that was the largest area of fraud and the biggest concern for the OIG, especially in that paper. So it is good to know that the SBA has established a process for handling this. They've gone through quite a few of these loans, but they are still going through those, trying to make sure that that number isn't higher than they think. But currently it's still looking at 0.7%, which is much better than what they originally thought.
Well, I'm going to go through some facts real quick. You know, we love stats. Chris, what is your outlook on the restaurant industry in May 2021? Bullish, the same, tightening up? What's your attitude?
Well, I'd like to say it's nothing but north from here. I mean, I don't think it can't go backwards. I don't think, unless we have a major health setback. But so I think it's going to shoot up. Yeah, I mean, I think people are itching to get out and go out to eat and get back to their independent restaurant or franchise restaurant for that matter. And yeah, I think there's a lot of pent up demand, Bob. I think restaurants are going to do very well going forward.
Well, what I like about these, the stats are horrendous. Down revenues, down employees. But what I like is those that we had in contrast. Here we have 110,000 restaurant locations that were permanently closed, which means a lot of these entrepreneurs figured out how to limp along until a recovery. 7 in 10 restaurants are single unit. I'm assuming mom and pop, and it's they're figuring out how to make it work. So congratulations to all the PPP lenders. And while the numbers are stark, I would be optimistic as well, Chris. What's going on? Women's Centers Recovery Resiliency Demonstration Grant. These centers are important for what, Katie? What do they primarily do?
Yeah, these centers provide a lot of services. This particular grant is going to women's business centers, which are serving women-owned businesses, providing training and additional support. They help them find access to loans, help them get started and get the connections they need. So this grant is going to help those centers continue to do that work, continue to help women-owned small businesses. I know a couple weeks ago we were reporting that a lot of groups did actually almost fully recover from the pandemic, but women-owned businesses are still struggling, and they were one of the few that did take a much harder hit than expected. So this is definitely going to help those businesses.
One thing I talked to one lender, what they do is someone comes up with a startup idea. Obviously, the lender, they're not in a position to fund it today. And they, instead of flat turning them down and say, here's the door, or now not responding to the email, they make a list of referral sources, SBDCs, women's centers. If you're exporting, say, hey, contact these people. And I know we talk to these people, and there's so many dedicated professionals that are dedicated to their job and who are truly behind those numbers on how to help small business, and that's their job, and they do a very good job. So good for them. Real quick, Katie, let's see. Tell us where you are on the guide, and we're giving it away for free if you sign up for the webinar tomorrow.
Yeah, so this guide we've had, this version we've had for a little while, and I do expect we're going to have to update it when the SBA does give us some more details about servicing these loans and things like that. There's going to be some aspect of that, what happens when PPP forgiveness is not fully granted, and that's exactly what the webinar is going to be about on May 19th. But with that webinar, of course, you're going to get our PPP forgiveness guide, which is, I believe, close to 110 pages or so of just walking you through how to apply for forgiveness, looking back through the timeline of what's going on with PPP, all kinds of things like that. There's some great infographics in there as well. So it's a great resource to have on your desk, ready to go when PPP forgiveness really hits the road and when we really start working on that.
Oh, good job on that, Katie. Chris, what is the status of your office? What, I don't think you and I have talked about that. What are you planning on doing going forward in terms of having people come in, hybrid, working at home? What are your thoughts as the manager?
Well, when we started all this, we were already about 50% work from home. So we've always had the philosophy of go where the talent is, and if that means that they're multiple states away, that's okay. We're basically, I'd characterize this as a hybrid model right now, Bob. So we've got a number of folks already back to the office. We still have people working from home. So long as people are productive, I don't really care where they're at, and so long as their managers can keep track of what they're doing and they're producing value for the business and for our customers, then that's the most important thing as far as I'm concerned.
Would you say you're back to the new normal in terms of how you're going to be working, or are there still people at home that will need to come into the office?
Yeah, I think this is the new normal going forward. I mean, I do understand there's some pent-up demand to get back to the office and, chat around the water cooler and things like that. And it does present some training challenges to not do that. But I think this is how it's going to be for a while. So I think you're going to have some people will work from home for a couple of days and they'll come to the office for the rest of the days of the week, and others just full on work from home, or others. I have a handful of employees that hate working from home, that insist on coming to the office. They're just not productive.
Probably vice versa.
They're home, and yeah, and I actually think that's good that they're cognizant of that. So I just think the new normal is to be fluid as a manager and a leader about yeah.
Chris, thank you so much for coming on. I know you're busy.
Thank you.
Very busy. So thank you for your time. Katie, good to see you. We missed you. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.